Welcome to the January edition of T Muscle Radio. Good to have you back. Good to be back here with Brian the Heart Harris. How you doing, mate?
Not bad. I'm still alive.
Yep. Apologies for the break. We haven't been on air since, I believe, October.
Something like that.
Around about September, October last year. Brian died again, unfortunately. I had to dig him up. And since then, I've went natty scum and basically lost the will to live. So, kind of wee break. But we're back now with a vengeance and we've got some good interviews for you. This month we've got prep guys.
This should be an interesting.
Yep. So we've got James Collier for Muscle Talk. We have Nathan Harman, who's one of the UK's kind of top guys just now. I believe he had around about 19 guys at the Brits.
Pretty hot in the scene.
Yep. That interview's a wee bit out of date now because we've done it before the kind of break in service when Brian died. So apologies to Nathan for not getting it back quicker.
It is interesting to see what his views on what the Brits were versus what actually happened in the outcome, though. So I suppose that's a nice take on the interview.
It's all still relevant stuff. It's just obviously it's a wee bit out of date with the Brits stuff. So apologies to Nathan for the break there. And last but not least, we've got Paul Scarborough, who's a big known face.
NABA competitor extraordinaire.
Yep, NABA competitor extraordinaire. Won his class 8 years running, was it?
Yeah,
up until his retirement.
His qualifier and represented the universe and the Britain this year.
Yep, now retired. So congratulations to Paul, and also another congratulations because he recently had a wee starring role basically in the Hobbit.
It's nice to see a competitor's career actually take another stretch after they've left the stage. I mean, I seen him in Panto at Christmas with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as well, and it was a fantastic show that he put on there.
So congratulations, Paul, and I'm sure we'll hear from you soon because I'm working with him now, and that's my carbs cut. So straight into the interviews. We're going to go first off with James Collier, so listen and see what you think.
Hello James, how you doing?
How you doing? Alright?
I'm doing good, mate. How's things?
Okay, thanks.
Well, just first to say, mate, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're
a
busy guy just now. I seem to have a lot going on.
Yeah, I have at the moment, yes.
But give us a wee insight, mate. What's happening with Muscle Talk? And I believe you've got some supplement stuff happening at the moment.
Muscle Talk's been going for 12 years. Over 12 years now. We've got we've been going in different forms, originally as a forum, and now we're trying to then we expanded to show promotion, and now we've got our online shop and an actual shop as well in Kettering or Fans, which is fairly new. We don't have our own supplement lines, but we distribute for others.
What's happening this year with the show? It seems to have got a pretty good bit of promotion last year, obviously with some of the people you had competing in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it going to be expecting to have kind of build on that momentum this year? Because it tends to be the way that shows go, doesn't it? You really need to build off the back of your successes.
Yes, I hope so. This will be our 4th year this year. It's qualified for the British finals. The whole UKBFF as a whole is growing. Every show seems to be getting 80 plus competitors now, which is phenomenal. We had about that last year, and we hope to have about the same this year. And yes, 30th of June in Bedford, and we're just finalising the guest poses now. We should know in a couple of weeks who we've got.
Okay, so you're hoping to get some big names for that?
Yeah, we'll get some big names, no problem. For sure. We've got Lindsay PT confirmed, but we want a couple of guys as well.
Brilliant. So who are you coaching at the moment? Are you coaching some guys into this show? And obviously, it's well known you work with
or not. I'm not actually coaching anyone at the moment. I've kind of taken a side step from that, not due to other commitments at the moment. I mean, my background is nutrition anyway, and the last couple of years I've sort of helped train quite a few shows, but I've it's temporarily. It'd be wrong to say it's getting in the way because that makes it like I don't enjoy it when I do. You know what I mean? But but I'm just sort of taking a side step at the moment. I've got a few local guys I'm just helping train with. Actually coaching in view of a show, there's actually no one at the moment. I'm sure there will be some that come out soon, but yeah, there's no one.
What about your relationship with like Daz Boggs? Obviously, he's somebody you've worked with. He's a friend of yours, really, and then he's somebody you've worked with for a long, long time.
Yes, we started collaborating at the back end of 2008. I helped him with his prep initially, but then Daz has done his own thing, and he likes to do it that way. And it's certainly showed for himself this year, when he's brought in his weak points and done well again. And But I work with him in respect of sponsoring and promoting him, and we train together sometimes. And he's at the Arnold in Columbus at the end of Feb, and he's hoping to get his pro card then.
So where do you see his future? Do you see that being an IFBB pro, or where do you think he'll go for here if it doesn't get that pro card?
He'll get his pro card. If he doesn't get it this time, he'll give it another crack at the finals, and he'll get it. He gets a lot of good support from the UKBFF, who does him fairly, as indicated at the finals. I mean, it's more than Dad's turn, but yeah, he didn't get the overall because the judges felt that Bales was better. So it was a fair decision. But, so they're giving him a chance to go for it at Columbus. So hopefully he'll do well there.
Other than Daz, obviously he's somebody who's been thereabouts for many, many years now for the pro card. Who else do you see the coming year and maybe the next couple of years that's big prospects in the UK scene?
Yeah, good question. Getting the pro card is getting harder and harder because we don't give many out in the UK. There's only one at the British finals, and then you can get a few other routes to getting one, but you've got to do well on the international scene. So it's hard. But you don't have to be a pro to be a successful bodybuilder. Indeed, a lot of the amateurs are having a very successful bodybuilding career as amateurs. I mean, has so far. And then my other big guy, Oliver Price, you've probably heard of him, who was runner up at second place. He's doing very well. He's an accomplished actor, a personal trainer, and Ollie's also doing well. He's doing very well to super heavyweights, and he's bringing in a better package. And hopefully he'll be coming on stage this year as well.
That's actually a good kind of point you just raised there. Do you think it actually matters these days, really? I mean, does a pro card actually mean anything, really? Because you look at a lot of the guys that come out of the UK and whether they actually do anything with it, whether they actually achieve anything with it that maybe they wouldn't do as amateur. Is it maybe just a status thing?
Yes, it's a status thing. Also, I mean, it's expensive to be a pro. When you're a pro, there's not many pro shows in the UK. There's one, there's one. Then if you want to go, if you're an amateur, you've got several, you've got loads of shows in the UK. So if you want to compete and you want to be a pro, then you're very limited. Then you've got to pay for your flights, accommodation, all your prep expenses, which is the same, and whatever else. I know Lindsay Beattie, who I mentioned earlier, she's a pro. She's done 20 odd pro shows in her time, but she finds it really hard to fund it now. And when she's not making the top 6, she's coming in the next sort of load, and she's getting a bit irritated because she wants to do really well, so you can do well as an amateur. It's what you want out of it. If you want to be a pro, be a pro. But then there are people like Stevie Crichton, who's now over 50, who's been a pro before and has come back to the amateur ranks and doing very well. He got in 2011, he was the over 40s champ, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Obviously being Scottish as well. He's somebody that I've seen quite a few times and a great bodybuilder. Yeah, he's a great guy. Not time to Stevie. Yeah, I mean, it's what you want out of it. You've got people like Alex Butterkoff, who won the under-80s this year at the finals. He's going to the Arnold with Taz. He's got a good chance of being a pro, and he's doing very well on the amateur scene. I think watch him as well. I mean, it'd be great if they both get it there together. He's another good guy. He's not someone I work with directly, but I do know him personally, and we do get on all right. So he's from Belarus originally, but now he's competing for the UK. So obviously, extending the question on, really, is it something that is getting the pro card something to Daz that kind of means a lot? Obviously, with the years working and chasing it, it's one of those kind of final end goal kind of thing, really. Yeah, it means a lot to him. Absolutely, the be all and end all. I'm honest. He's acknowledged that he can do well. On the bodybuilding scene in other ways. His name and face are a very well-known name. And he's a more well-known name than some of the other UK pros. I think he wants to go there, but he does acknowledge that when he's up there, he's at the back of the queue. Let's look at Cecil Crosdale, who in 2011 was the overall got his pro card, and I think he did phenomenally well at his pro debut at the British finals in October, where he got 9th. I think he did very well, but he's realised he's joining the back of the ranks. Yep. Cecil
That's what looks good. And Dad knows that when he goes there, he's going to be at the back, and he's going to have to fit a lot of times in order to start being noticed.
Do you think that might help though in a way, because when you're at the top, see as Daz for instance, you're at the very, very top of the amateur game for a long, long time, and there isn't an awful lot of guys better than him, very few. Do you think that would actually help his motivation when if he gets the pro card and moves into the ranks and realises he's back to the basics, he's back to the very start, and it makes you hungry at the bottom of the hill, having to work for the bottom?
Yeah, that's certainly the way he looks at things, to be honest. That's the way he views it. He's got a very good work ethic, to be honest. I know a lot of guys, a lot of good bodybuilders, and with a load of potential, and some of them don't use that potential. They train hard, for sure, a lot harder than, when they get in the gym, but they can be quite lazy. Daz isn't that. He's got the whole ethic, work ethic down to the T, and it's very hard all the time, and eats very well. Perhaps my criticism would be perhaps a little bit too much, so a little bit too, I wouldn't quite say obsessed, but the next level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do.
So I think sometimes he might just be better just to take a check and focus on it for sure. And he already trains hard, so he doesn't need to do it anymore.
You've got to kind of, when you look at guys like that, I mean, stay as Daz does, he's always in pretty good shape, even off season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it does take that kind of obsessiveness though. But I mean, obviously for your point of view, the people you've worked with, it's something that comes up quite a lot in forums and all that, and it's about condition guys staying off season. I'm kind of digressing away now to another question, but it's really along the lines of, you feel that that's always a benefit if you can stay in that really crisp shape all year round. Sacrificing maybe less games, do you think that's a good thing?
I'd say partly it's genetic and the way you are. I mean, using Dad again as an example, he's a sportsman as well, so a lot of sports and his genetics, he's always going to be relatively lean. It's great for marketing because it means you're available for guest poses and appearances all year round.
Yep.
And that's not many bodybuilders that can do that. It seems like some of them coming on stage, to roll them onto stage. But, it's, if I think it's good to stay in a reasonable nick off season. You don't need to get fat. Sure, you put on weight. Absolutely, you don't want to be mega lean, but you don't need to get fat. And bodybuilding needs to be advertised as a healthy sport. And in many respects, it's not healthy. But in many respects, it can be healthy. I think that's why the UKBFF do support Daz and want to steer him in the right direction so he can look good and get to where he wants to, because he does look healthy and he does epitomise what is a healthy sport, and it's good for a good image to have.
Yeah, so you're kind of promoting the guy that's off season and can actually walk up and down a set of stairs without lashing sweat and blowing out his arse kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you've got to remember there are a lot of respects to a good bodybuilder. There's not just size and condition. I know a lot of bodybuilders have got good size, and I know a lot of bodybuilders in great condition. What many don't realise is shape is very, very important. Some of them don't have a good shape, and they can't really get their head around why they're not doing very well.
Do you think off-season plays a large part in that?
I think that too many of these big guys eat too much food and do too much cardio. It'd be better to cut the food and do less cardio. Still do some cardio year round. I'm a big believer in cardio year round, but you don't need to do like hour every day as well as your training and and whatever else you do, and just so you can eat more food. Yes, you need to fuel your muscles, but you don't need to. I see some of them do it, and I think it just ends the waste from eating too much food, and you get that sort of look where you get that big blocky shape, and relatively your limbs aren't that big.
So are you suggesting, that guys are doing like maybe too much cardio in the off season?
Yes.
Right.
And contest as well. Even some of them. Sure, you got to take each case, its merits. But some people, I know a lot of bodybuilders that just generally they eat too much and they do too much cardio. Cut the calories, and cut the input and cut the output. Do some cardio, absolutely. Year round, I think. You're not trying to burn fat year round, so why not just do something like half an hour 4 times a week? As well as being active and do other sports. But pre-competition, step it up, sure, but don't, but cut the calories as well.
So what would you pin it at? Just taking your kind of average 200-pound bodybuilder, average genetics, the average kind of guy you've worked with, how much cardio would you reckon they should really be topping out at during the prep before they should be really looking at like how much food they're...
Let's say the average, an average bodybuilder would be a your average 200 pound would be a stone and a half over their stage weight off season, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say for them, half an hour, 4 times a week, maybe off season, then step it up to 40 minutes 5 times a week plus 20 minutes post workout. Whatever days you train, and maybe a couple of HIIT sessions instead of one of those a week as well. Interval training, just chop and change. It depends on the person, because if they've got a busy job, that's quite active, then maybe not so much. If they've got a sit-down job, then do a bit more.
That kind of leads on to something that I've talked to a lot of people about, and different people who are coaches and involved, and it's really the main macro that obviously in bodybuilding is the protein. How much protein do you tend, the guys that you coach, to take in? Because you talk to people, really respected coaches, and you're getting figures with 3 grams per pound, down to as low as just maybe 1.5.
I don't, it's a shock for you, I don't count calories on macros. The only figure I look at is the portion size. Okay, one thing, remember I come from a nutrition background, a dietetics background, a clinical background, and we used to do a lot of studies and stuff in my hospital days, and we used to look at, McCann Willison's composition of food, the gold standard of the macros and micronutrients values, and they're not accurate. They can't be accurate because different foods have different types of food. Let's look at the potato, for instance. The potato, there are different types of potato, different varieties, and of course there's a different season, and that's going to affect the type of the nutrients in it, and whether it's the glycemic index is the carbohydrates. The type of carbohydrates. Banana is another one. Green banana is a staple food with low GI in many countries. If we have it and we've been sitting on our fruit bowl for a couple of weeks and it's brown, well, then it's a very high GI. So what I'm leading to here is saying I don't count macros because it's more important to look at the type of food choice and the distribution of the food throughout the day. So protein, has to be high protein, and of course it depends if they're so they're competing in. If they're competing in a tested federation, then they're not going to need as much as someone who's competing in an untested federation. To skate around that taboo subject for the moment, it does matter, and obviously it depends on so many factors. You look at their lifestyle and their job. What their sleep wake cycle is. And I would generally get people to have. There would be protein foods in every meal, and I would be getting them to eat pre-competition probably 7 times a day. Now, some of that would be supplements for ease, and some of it would be food, and the bulk of it would be food. The food's better, and also it makes them feel better when they're not eating so much of it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I don't put a figure on it. I've been asked for it, and I won't. But I would say a variety of different sources is important as well.
That's a pretty expensive answer anyway, whether you put a finger on it or not, so that's appreciated. So, get down then for there, I mean, I'm guessing your answer is going to be kind of similar if you're talking about whether you prefer to use more carbohydrates and more fats. I'm guessing you're going to base it on timings and obviously the activity of the person.
Yes, exactly, and also their history as well. I'm very much into their history, how they've got on, and they report to me. If they're carb sensitive, then I'm a carby sort of person. I do advocate carbs. But if I've done their history and their review, and they've not gotten well with carbs, then I'll take that into consideration. They won't be, I will be careful with carbs and maybe give them more fats. And I'll be basing that on type of fats. The overview omega-3s, if you monounsaturation, maybe a degree of saturation as well, non-oxidized fats.
Do you like to be quite specific about the ratios of fats that you use in people's diets? I mean, do you?
No, never again. I'm not specific at all. I'll just be looking at the right sources of fat. I'll be looking at the food, and of course, bodybuilders, hopefully like oily fish. So you've got high protein and high good fats all in one go. Get that down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one of my phrases, you can quote me on this, is eat food, not figures. Okay, that's one of my little catchphrases. And it's because that's what you do. You have to do that, and we're not a load of measurements. We're people. We're different. We're not robots. I just food tables, like I said before, are inaccurate. They can be 40% out. They can have a 20% deviation either way, so that's 40% out. So we need to, with that in mind, why I can't get my head around the idea that we need to count macros so precisely. Sure, you need to have an idea of what's high protein and what's high carb and what's high fat and this, that and the other. You need to have that knowledge, but you don't need to take it so precisely. You really don't. You know, if you think about it, you do different things every day, even pre-competition. We still have different stresses in our lives. We've still got jobs. You know, you don't do exactly the same thing. And that takes, you know, you've put bias into something where you're trying to be precise on, but already becoming accurate.
So that would be quite interesting from my point of view, to a competitor's point of view, just listening to everything. I think that's quite interesting is, at the moment, off-season, I'll look at a portion of, like, say, 50 gram of uncooked weight rice once it's cooked,
right,
and it looks like an absolute mountain. But then when I'm on prep, I can look at that and it looks as if it's about 2 spoonfuls.
Yeah.
So which is one of those things, and it's the very same thing with even like if I have a lot of fish, I eat a lot of fish in my diet. At the moment, say about 200 gram looks like that's a pretty good amount, but when I'm dieting, 300 gram looks like 2 spoonfuls. So for me, how would you suggest then to kind of elaborate on what you're saying about taking the actual food and not being too picky about exact weights? How would I deal with that kind of way that I see things when
yeah, well, I would still give you an idea. I mean, if I was doing it, I would give you an exact weight of the food. I do talk in food portions.
Of course, yeah.
I do give that advice. Off season, I would say just measure it, you know, every now and again, not every meal.
Yeah.
If you don't really need to eat so specifically. The reason, you know, 4 times a day, if you've got plenty of food, is enough. But pre-competition, it's important, I think, to eat more. One is because you get bloody hungry, but it gives you something to look forward to. And secondly, it's that bloating of the waist thing again. You know, that's the one reason that we bodybuilders need to eat smaller and often rather than bigger meals and less often. Is to keep that waist, and otherwise you get the blows. I think what you were asking was, what was your point again, Rab? Sorry.
It's really just because you're suggesting not be too fussy about how much weight's in the food. It's just how you deal with that. So you kind of answered it anyway, saying you would actually give a specific number. So you didn't really answer the question yet. Okay, mate. So what is it you would suggest off the back of the food with the actual supplementation side, with the vitamins, minerals, fish oils?
Okay. Well, I would generally say it's better to get it from food. Like I said before, with the macros, the vitamins and minerals are crucial in the diet and often overlooked, but get them from food sources. You know the government campaign, give me 5 a day. Yeah. 5 fruit and veg a day, 5 servings a day. Well, if I told you that is the absolute minimum, that is what studies have shown in respect for disease prevention is the absolute minimum. Really, it should be 7 or 8 a day. And then, you know, all people start testing and think, I'm never going to get that in. It's actually quite easy, especially if you're a bodybuilder, you eat a lot. If you're eating 7 times a day, just include some veg with it all the time. Have a couple of bananas as well and mix it up a bit. But you need the fruit and veg, and I need a variety of different fruit and veg, different colours, because the different colours have different antioxidants. Sure, you can take a vitamin and mineral supplement, but quite often if you're having a meal replacement formula anyway, supplement, that's got them all in, so there's no need. There's no replacement for good food.
Just before we go on to fish oil, so you're talking about like different colours of food, so a lot of bodybuilders, it tends to be broccoli, and that is broccoli. So would you suggest, although you're maybe going to get a small amount of carbs and things like peppers and other kind of...
Make vegetable. You know, if it really is. I would just mix up the calories. Yeah, and I know what you're saying with broccoli. They do love them, but what's wrong with carrots? You know, and you know, just mix it up a bit. There's loads of different veg, salad veg as well. Yep. And fruit as well. You know, obviously in pre-competition food is fairly calorific. You don't want too much, but don't exclude it. And off season, you know, pile it in. Fruit's nice.
What would your suggestion be for guys in the off season who obviously really struggle to get the volume of food down? It starts to get really sickening, and the first thing you're obviously going to jack is going to be the vegetables.
I would say to get the calories in, I would use things like good oils because they're very calorific. Don't be afraid of post-workout sugars and dextrose, you know, especially post-workout first thing in the morning when you can get away with them. And that's a good way of getting extra calories in. Otherwise, just get it down here and up. that's the way really, but don't exclude the vegetables. And if you can't cope with the vegetables, then eat more fruit because then at least you're getting the calories in, aren't you? And the fruit as well.
Yep. So off the back of that, what would you say to your experience in nutrition as the things that guys are most efficient in and the effects that that's having?
In the Western world, there's no need for anyone to be deficient in anything, unless you're a teenage boy who's just discovered masturbation. There's studies to show they're low in zinc. With a bodybuilding diet, when you're eating copious quantities of food, there's nothing you would be deficient in, as long as you're in a varied diet as well.
But what about the guys that are perhaps skipping on the vegetables and
they would? Well, they're going to be missing out on some of the B vitamins. The greens are going to be missing out on riboflavin, B2. That's not ideal. Vitamin C is always a popular one in bodybuilding anyway, and generally bodybuilding supplement with it, so it's not usually a problem. Your iron. I know bodybuilders, if they're eating plenty of red meat, they should be getting plenty, but if they're sticking to their fishes and chickens, and they're not having a lot of greens, they're going to have a problem with iron. Because you can get iron from your red meats, and also from your greens. So you've got to have one or the other if you don't have both. There is a bit in poultry and fish, but it's nowhere near what it is in red meat. So that's an important one. Calcium is one that quite often we don't get enough of, because when people cut out dairy. Dairy is a good source of calcium. So if you don't have dairy, then have plenty of nuts and seeds, because they can be good sources of calcium.
Moving on to fish oils.
Oh, yeah.
What's your preference there? Do you go for fish oils, krill oils? Do you just get like that?
Like I said really earlier, the proper oily fish, the raw salt is fine. I do like using EVO, extra virgin olive oil, over salads. Don't heat it, of course, because it oxidizes at low temperatures. It's not good to heat extra virgin olive oil, but have as a supplement oil. Do that. It's monounsaturated, so it's not really replacing fish oils, but it is a good way of getting extra calories in. And especially fish oil, if you don't have oily fish, then you will need to supplement with something like that, or maybe an oil blend.
So what's your thoughts on the quite heavy supplementation of fish oil? There's quite a bit kind of variety of opinion in that one.
Yeah, there is. I mean, if you're getting it plenty from food, then you won't supplement. If you're not getting plenty, then it's worth supplementing. There is evidence to say that supplementation can help with certain disease prevention, but we're not talking high doses of supplement manufacturers and sellers, whatever you say.
What about going on to like medium chain triglyceride fats? Are using those?
Yeah, I do. I like those. They've been around for a lot longer than people think they've been around. They're coming back in fashion a bit at the moment, aren't they?
Right. Okay. They have been for the past 5 or so years, maybe.
Yeah, they have been. They've been around a lot longer than that. We used to use them when I used to work in my clinical days. We used to use them in the critically ill in tube feeds because they're energy dense and they're metabolized a bit like carbohydrates are. Yeah. So it's a good way of replenishing energy very quickly in a small volume. But yeah, if you're that off-season hard gainer, MCT and maybe a post workout, it would be a good idea. Of course, coconut oil. You've got to remember that coconut oil, MCTs are saturated fats, but it can't be oxidized. If they can't be oxidized, that's going to have no problems for your heart.
Would you actually go as far as to suggest using some MCTs post-workout because of the way they act like a carb?
I would say post-workout, in your meal, your 45-minute later meal. Because I think it's important to get your carbs in straight away with your protein, your dextrose, multidextrin, or Maximase or Vitargo, whatever you have. And then follow up 45 minutes later or so with your MCTs.
Okay, and would you...
more food.
What sources of that would you use? Obviously, coconut oil is the popular one.
That would be the main one of choice, or a supplemental source. Because it's not going to degrade very well, because it's, like I said, it can't be oxidised, so they've got quite a reasonable shelf life on them.
Things like peanut butter and obviously all that kind of thing you're quite a fan of.
Yes, I do like peanut butter because I like peanut butter. It tastes wise, so it's a good thing to have because people can enjoy it, and when it's an enjoyable, good food. And I think it's important that you enjoy yourself, especially pre-competition, because life can be very mundane. So you've got to enjoy what you can.
Thanks very much for the interview, James.
Okay. Cheers, mate. Bye. Bye-bye.
Right, so I'll be looking forward to seeing James's show, especially when he's mentioning he's got some good guests going to be up and coming.
Good calibre athlete. Their shows generally always are a good turnout. It's usually quite a date in the calendar that a lot of guys and girls choose to compete at as a UKBFF qualifier.
Yep, and it's quite good to hear from James because he's one of the kind of few guys on the scene that's actually got a background in nutrition
that he's able to apply well.
And one thing we were talking about while we were kind of discussing an interview was how important it is to be consistent with your food, because what came out of that for me that stood out for us and kind of the things that we talk about is the kind of the variation in the food.
Absolutely. I mean, we say to the athletes ourselves, try and keep your diet as uniform as possible. Try and keep the food groups the same each day, each meal's food group the same. That way your variations kept to a minimal. That way everything can be kept track. Essentially, I mean, what he's saying there, where it's a bit controversial sounding on the face of it when he's saying it doesn't count macros. It's a kind of misnomer, that, because obviously macros are coming into it. You did hear him state, obviously they're important to a certain extent in his own belief. He just doesn't put as big a emphasis on numbers. Still relevant though, because obviously a portion size is still going to merit a certain amount of numbers. No two ways about it. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Obviously that way works well for him. That's what he's comfortable working with. Each to their own, I guess.
I think though as well, I mean, the way that yourself and me and the way we do it is we tend not to worry. I mean, especially for me, when you've prepped me in the past, it's always been a case of, because we keep the food the same and we keep the food really consistent, it's really less of a numbers game, it's more of a food game. So instead of saying we're taking out
set amount of carbs,
a set amount of carbs, when we say that let's take off, we'll take away, right, okay, we'll cut the rice down to 50 gram.
We can take so much from each meal, so X amount of rice for each meal.
So we cut the portion size, that's how we tend to do it with me, but I mean, at the end of the day, obviously it does come back to a numbers game, really.
Ultimately, it only can boil down to a numbers game, because it's the most relevant thing.
Be that numbers of the portion, or be that the numbers of the macros, it's going to come down to it. And then obviously you've got the very important thing that we're saying about keeping your food uniform, because if you go one day and you have brown rice, then you go another day and you have potatoes, there is going to be variation there. It's very difficult to measure that. You're going to have gut content, and that's when people start panicking.
Other things you can bring into food sensitivities. People, some people don't agree with oats. Some people do. Some people develop sudden intolerances to certain foods that they maybe have been using for a long time, or perhaps they hadn't been using it for 6 months of their off season. They introduce it into their diet. Suddenly they find certain carbohydrate sources just don't agree with them at all. They can't stomach certain things anymore.
Well, that's one thing that you had with sweet potatoes.
Oh, absolutely. Sweet potatoes were an absolute milestone, cornerstone for me in my diets in the past. I missed them out for a year, came back to them for a carb load at a show that I hadn't used them for my prep for 12 weeks, and bang, I was locked up, distended inside of 6 hours, and that was a nightmare. So that suddenly had to come off the menu for me.
I think as well for me, I found that we're kind of deviating slightly away here, but we'll wrap it on anyway, because that's what we do. Is that for my first carb up, the last couple of shows I did, I was very, very careful, and made it was like white rice, it was some potatoes, very methodic, and it was some gluten and wheat free cereal. And the second one, I was kind of lazy with it. I was just fucked by that point. I kind of lost a lot to live, and I was bagels. Do you know what I mean? I had lots of wheat and gluten, and I ended up distended and looked like absolute shit.
Far softer.
Basically.
So it shows the kind of impact, just simple things like that can have. And again, from people prepping point of view, and the athlete's point of view, it takes the stress out for the person that's prepping the athlete, because that way, if you ask the athlete, what have you been eating each day? If they say, for instance, 3 chicken meals, 2 red meat meals and a shake, it doesn't matter what order they've had those meals in that shake in, as long as they've had those set food groups each day and every day, and it takes out, well, where did this 73 pound weight gain come from? It doesn't come from fresh air, as we know many people like to claim, something somewhere will change, whether it be down to something they've added to the food. It could be a spice, it could be too much sodium, anything like that can cause water retention. All these little factors. People just need to be so uniform and so specific and keep things the same. Portion size, added things, condiments, you name it.
What about the timings? You've got he's quite into the idea of making sure that your timings of your fats and your carbs. How much importance do you think there is in that and merit in that?
I think there's definitely a certain amount of importance in it. I don't overly emphasise on it myself. I know I'm guilty of that. I will tend to take it away for obvious times like post workout. I'll tend not to put fats in then for the for obvious reasons. Whilst tend to start to manipulate fats, obviously at times where say you're carb cycling. Obviously then during the day, that kind of thing. Or for instance, if I've maybe taken a chunk of carbs off someone for them to get used to it, I'll put some fats in later on at night when you're typically going to be more hungry.
You're hurt.
Right, absolutely. When you tend to want to pick more, you want to go to that biscuit tin, put things like maybe peanut butter in or almonds or whatever's going to suit them, to take that, that hunger away and satiate them a little bit.
So in essence, you can actually be making a drop in somebody's food be taking away the carbs, but however, in total calories, it might not be a huge difference.
Absolutely,
but that wee bit of fat's in there can
just makes a big difference in the way their body ends up looking on a week-to-week basis, as we've seen, countless times now, week in, week out.
So another thing really for the interview was Daz Ball, and where Daz is going to go, because we've all seen Daz for years and years now, and he always appears, he's always good, but he's never just quite good enough. He's maybe just not got that genetic.
Something that eludes him. I mean, this year certainly I was there to see it with my own eyes. He's transformed his physique. There's no two ways about it. He's lost that big blocky Daz, that people used to say. He was a super freak and whatnot. But this year he brought a look at the British finals that I didn't think you'd ever be able to see the guy bring. He had a nice tapered waistline, his arms suddenly looked in proportion to his body, the fantastic condition was it. I don't think he's maybe just the condition he's displayed in the past, certainly in the quads and that sort of thing, but
overall package.
Picking hairs, overall package, what a transformation. Obviously it was worrying for everybody, no more so than the man himself, obviously, when they heard the news of his bicep tear, and obviously the reattachment with that was successful, and it's great to see him making a comeback after something like that, because that can be career ending. But certainly this year he was in that overall, he was battling there in my eyes, it was between him and Anth, and obviously the cards fell where they did. It would be interesting to see how he does get on in Columbus, at the Arnold's. Obviously it's a different calibre there entirely. It's a world stage you're getting up on there. There's no two ways about it. The guy can more than hold his own there. Let's hope that he doesn't make the mistake he did a few years back there and fall asleep and miss his class, because that would be that would be disastrous. So I mean, the guy's a top athlete. He's an absolute. I suppose that brings up another avenue. He's a professional at what he does without being a professional.
Exactly, he really is. I mean, even I've met him before at Paisley when he guest posed there a few years back, and he couldn't have been nicer. He had time for everybody. He got pictures with my wife and everybody that asked, he couldn't have been nicer. He wasn't trying to shove 10 quid pictures down your throat or anything like that. The guy is an absolute gent and a true professional. Like James was saying, he stays in shape in the off season, so he's marketable. He's marketable. He's promotable. But that kind of leads on to the question of, I mean, is there actually an awful lot of value in becoming a pro in the UK?
I think it's more down to what the guys and girls put in that. What kind of value they do put in it. Are they ultimately chasing it for the IFBB status?
Just for status.
If so, then fair enough for them. Have they thought about where their career's going to go after that? Because unfortunately in this country, you're not left with an awful lot of places to go afterwards. You do need, as James said, a lot of financial backing to be able to take it further and go out there and remain competitive, because you've suddenly got the financial burden of flights, having to go into different countries, having to get there days in advance, on top of all the already humongously expensive prep, diet, everything else that goes hand in hand with that. Whereas, as we say, we've got Daz there. He's a super well known name. He guest poses up and down the country year round. I mean, I don't doubt that he makes a great living with that. He's got great sponsors. He's got a great support network there. So again, it's interesting. How many guys in the UK have ultimately ended up going on. You've got Flex Lewis, Sean Tavernier. Let's hope Anthony Bales, is able to take something out there as well.
Has Anthony Bales got enough? I mean, has he got the size? Anthony Bales has got the.
He's got the shape,
the muscle bellies that you need. He has got freaky, just beautiful flowing muscle bellies. But does he have the size? Is he going to need a couple of years?
I think it will be really revealing when we get to see him finally stand next to the likes of Flex Lewis, Eduardo Correa, guys like that. I think that's when we're going to really know the answer to that question.
Because you've got to remember as well. I mean, you've got guys like Flex Lewis who can. They'll compete at 230. He's killing himself. He's literally in the brink of death to get himself down to what is the limit now?
212.
212. Is it still 212? I thought it is not. Sorry, it's up to 212. Yeah, apologies. My apologies. But can I get back to the point? Really, is staying amateur. I mean, that may be. If I was somebody who was looking to back somebody. I would. I mean, if take Daz for example, somebody that can compete.
He's out there all the time.
He can compete, say 3 times a year. He's going to be out there all the time. He's not going to be forgotten about, because there's guys that have turned pro that you
that's it.
Don't hear a thing about them,
unfortunately.
Whereas if you're relevant all the time, maybe that's somebody that's more investable. Well,
you look at the way some of the guys have went after the UKBFF finals last year. They decided, to call it a day with them, and ended up going on and competing, with the likes of NABA, WABA, and other federations that are out there, NEC, that kind of thing. Because ultimately, and this is not trying to favouritism over federations. What I'm trying to say is that as an amateur, and leaving yourself open to many other federations, and if your true love is for actually competing, getting up there and doing it, then the answer lies in remaining an amateur. Really, you get much more stage time for the effort that you're putting in.
It always seems odd to us because obviously we don't have any favouritism over federations. It does seem odd to us when people say, "What show are you doing?" And we'll say, "Well, we're doing all the shows."
Absolutely, yeah. Independent, NABA, UK, you say it, but because the Scottish season generally runs. Fortunately for us, it runs in a way that's convenient, that you're not impinging on any UKBFF rules, let's say, because they fall last in the season for us here, fortunately. So it leaves us with in the position where we can go, and you do get more stage time. And after you've dieted your backside off, for 4 months at a time or longer in some cases, you want up on that stage, to show it off as much as you can. You
at least a few shows.
Yeah, but you don't want to be strangled to one or whatever. Okay, next up we've got the interview with Paul Scarborough, a NABA competitor and prep guy extraordinaire, going over his experiences of his career so far, which is long.
Very long.
And it's so long. Does time stretch back that far?
I don't think so, and he's also just fresh out the Shire after his recent movie debut.
Hobbit's Tale. Anyway, here's the interview with Paul.
Thanks for obviously taking the time to come onto the radio show for Testosterone Muscle. Everyone in the forum will obviously know a little bit about yourself, but if you would just let us know how you got into bodybuilding, a little bit of background history if possible.
Yeah, I got into bodybuilding, I started training around about 1988. I was brought into it by a good friend of mine, a childhood friend who happened to live with Billy Payne. Many people know him from the 80s, 90s. He was a top amateur. And I met Billy. I trained in a gym in Huddersfield called Maloney's, and that was full of big guys, very big guys. And I had a couple of sessions and got the bug, really.
What sort of style training did they start you off on?
It was just, I think if I remember rightly, it was like one body part when we went in there. There was no real rhyme or reason for doing it. It wasn't like push-pull or anything like that. And I think I trained 5 days a week, as in reps and sets. I can't remember because back then I just followed what I was told. Lift that for 8 reps, do that, But back then, I don't believe it was as controlled for the new people to the game as it is now, because the information wasn't there for them to, you tended to do what you was told rather than research it yourself.
Exactly, like you got all the internet and everything now, haven't you? So it's like information is freely available, but obviously it's worked for you, like going on with what you have been told. So with that side of things, what was the first show you actually entered into?
The first show I entered was an open show. It was called Mr. England, and it was in Bournemouth, down on the south coast. I trained at a gym in Plymouth that was owned by a British competitor, and he got me into the show sort of thing. It was a decently big show. The open class was full of British top 6 guys and things because it was all the money. Unfortunately, I put down the open class on my entry instead of the first timers. So I ended up standing on stage with these guys that were making like the British top 3 and top 6 at the time. So I actually came dead last. So it wasn't the best experience, but it was certainly memorable.
You learned from it though.
Well, of course, I think the one thing I have done over the years is learn from all of my mistakes, and in a way I'm glad I've made them, because I think that it's made me a better bodybuilder now.
Yeah. So like if you compared your first show with the last show you done, it was at the university you done, wasn't it?
Yes.
How did your prep differ? I know it's 25 years or 24 years difference, but how did your prep differ?
Well, it's 21 years difference. It was 1991 my first show, so I'm not...
Okay.
Give me a few credits on the age. I'm not that old. God, it differed in pretty much every way. Back in 91, I didn't use any supplements. The only supplement I used was whey protein, as in obviously over-the-counter supplements. As in gear-wise supplements, I probably just used a fast-acting test and some Winstrol. I basically dropped the calories back in 1991. Back then it was, do some cardio, and it wasn't it wasn't a lot of cardio, but basically eat as little as possible. Looking back on some of my notes before you called, because I keep notes from all my shows, even my first one, I think my daily calories were just under 1,000, maybe about 800 calories.
800 calories?
Yeah, back then there was no knowledge really, even for the bigger guys, about fat and things like that. You got into condition by dropping your carbs, and keeping your fat really low. I do remember a couple of my meals each day was having oats mixed with protein powder, really thickly set, put in a small dish and then sliced like a pizza, and then one slice would be a meal. Yeah, so it was that everything was bland, everything was really down and basic. Whereas, obviously, in my show this year, I prepped for 14 weeks running into the universe, but obviously on the back of prepping since January, so in total I prepped for 45 weeks. And supplement-wise, obviously whey protein and that had an important role in it, especially with my job on the road. But, I use things like CLA, digestive enzymes, obviously multivitamin packs, a lot more supplements, I used throughout the prep. My gear dose was probably not that much more than back then because of late I've been able to lower it, but I was using, things like growth and other ancillaries to help get me down. My cardio was a mixture between slow and steady, and then towards the end I did some HIIT cardio, which I really did like, and researched a little bit more on that. And I trained less. I only trained 3 days a week running into all my shows this year. So the difference was black and white, night and day. So.
Yeah. You mentioned the different types of cardio. Is there any one cardio which you preferred, whether steady state first thing in the morning or HIIT cardio, high intensity stuff? What are your thoughts on that side of things?
Do you know, there was a time where I totally dismissed HIIT, and I'd always done steady state. I'd always built up to 90 minutes a day, and I'd found earlier on in my competitive career I needed to do that from the beginning. I wasn't lucky to be able to bring this in gradually. And any competitive bodybuilder will tell you that steady state, 90 minutes a day, is just boring, So I did a little bit more research into HIIT, and it sort of started to make sense. So because I was already down, because like I said, I did obviously qualify British and Worlds, I decided to put a couple of sessions in a week and see how it affected me. Because I was already down fat-wise, I could see the results relatively quickly. And I just found it was better for me, and it was a damn sight quicker. I devised a way of doing it that I was in, did 20 minutes and out, and I burned the same, if not on some occasions, a few more calories, and I did 45 minutes on slow and steady. So towards the end, I preferred it.
Were you doing the 20 minutes once a day?
I did start doing it once a day, and then I sort of got a little bit addicted to it. However strange that is, and we are a strange group as bodybuilders, my calories were going down, my energy was going down, my fat levels were going down, but I wanted to do it twice a day, this high-intense cardio. But I had to stop myself from doing that for obvious reasons, because I think as you're coming in, like I said, I've been prepping for 45 weeks. When you're coming into the end part of that, there is a case of muscle loss, no matter what the studies say, towards HIIT. So I tended to do it once a day, and I did that in the morning.
Is that found it?
Yeah. I do all my cardio on an empty stomach. I don't really go for this, you've got to have some aminos in there and whatever, and cortisone levels and this and that. I think generally people overthink things like that, but yeah, all my cardio in the morning was always on an empty stomach. First thing in the morning, do the cardio, then start the meals.
Okay. So you said you're on the road quite a lot. How does that affect you, like with your diet? How do you cook your food? Obviously getting all your cardio in. Are you just walking around the streets doing your cardio? Have you always find a place with a gym? What sort of way do you do it? You cook your food on the Monday. How do you make it so it's still fresh for the Friday?
Well, I started the job I'm in now nearly 14 years ago, and I wasn't as serious about bodybuilding back then as I was now with nutrition. But as I did become more, it was a little bit harder, but now it's just a thing I do. People ask me that question a lot, And it is just a thing I do. I make sure that wherever I go to work, because I always stay overnight, I book a hotel that has got either a fitness suite or a gym in it. The first thing I do when I get there, I source a gym close by to obviously train. And I go to Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer's, Asda, wherever there is. You can always get something to meet your macros, you know.
Okay.
I have a 6-pack bag. And, for example, this last week I drove to Barrow-in-Furness on the Tuesday, and it took me 10 hours. So I filled my 6-pack bag up. I had my breakfast before I left, and then on the road, I'd like to say I stop and eat, but unfortunately I tend not to. I've learnt the skill of driving with your knees, and I will go through obviously my 6-pack bag. Now, what I would do then is stop off at Marks and Spencer's. Over the years, the one thing that has improved with food at supermarkets and places like that is they've stopped using so much water-filled and sugar-filled chicken and pre-formed chicken. So at Marks and Spencer's, you can actually get chicken that is not full of all that rubbish. And so I buy packs of that. I buy packs of couscous, things like that, oats, whatever. And I then spend that evening, a good proportion of that evening, weighing all the food, putting it back into my Tupperware for the next day. And I do that every night that I'm away.
So you can easily do it as long as you're prepared for everything. Then it's not really a case of being at home or being on the road. If you want to, you can go out and do it then.
Yeah, I think so. It's all down to preparation. Obviously, when I'm at home, you know, it's all hot, and I've got a much wide range of foods and things, and you know, I do eat obviously hot foods, and I tend not to have as many shakes and things like that. But when I'm away, I just eat the food cold. It's just something you've got to do. If you want it bad enough, you will do it.
At the end of the day, isn't it?
It is. It's not breakfast, dinner and tea. It's meal 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. And, you know, even down to the fact that in the boot of my car, I have a tub of protein, I have a shaker, I have a tub of peanut butter, and I have a box of Oh So Simple oat sachets with a Tupperware dish, all in a box, all in the back of my car. So if I am ever in the situation where I can't get food, then I've got stuff there. So it's just preparation. You know,
exactly.
It may not taste like the home-cooked food your mum makes, but at the end of the day, we tend to eat food for a purpose rather than, you know, because we like it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. If you look at food as fuel, then you're going to get a lot further, I've always found, at the moment with bodybuilding side of things. But with that, have you had cheat meals? Do you have them with your diets or refeeds, carb ups, that sort of thing?
I think it's well documented that the way I prep, I have a number of hours once a week. It's normally on a Sunday. I noticed a few posts on TM recently where everybody was scraping around the floor for labels to, you know, is it a refeed? Is it a cheat? Is it?
Yeah.
It's the way that works. That's what it is. If you want to put a label on it, that's the way it works. It doesn't matter if it's a cheat. It doesn't matter if you have donuts. It doesn't matter if you have pizza. It doesn't matter if you have cereal or you have more rice. If that works for you, then that's what it is. I have a high processed carb day, like I said, given a number of hours, and I will have some, you know, I'll have a pizza in there, or I'll go to Frankie and Benny's with the family, and that's what that day is for. Whatever those hours are, if it's 6 hours, say I'll start it at 12 o'clock, and I'll eat my normal diet before then. I'll eat whatever I want until 6 o'clock, and then I'll eat my normal diet afterwards. But in those 6 hours, I'll spend time with my family. We'll go out for food, and my kids appreciate the fact that I don't have to weigh it before I put it into my mouth.
I bet.
So, my 6-year-old boy loves it, just sitting down and is just eating chocolate sort of thing, when I'm prepping and stuff. So, I do that all the time. It's taken me a few years to work out what actually works for me, but that works for me. You know, some people can't do that. Maybe some people can't control the amount of hours, you know, but I think that if you can do that, it keeps you sane. It has a proper purpose on leptin levels and metabolism. And it also, for me anyway, avoids the post-show bloat. You know, there is no need for me to go out and eat Cadbury's World, or my own body weight in pizza after I've stepped off a stage.
You're not deprived yourself for it for however many weeks beforehand. So
no, exactly. The universe that's just gone. By many people's opinion, I was the best I've ever been. And the night before, I had a medium pizza and 3 donuts. So, obviously that's all involved in the plan and the manipulation. But essentially it means that when I got off that stage, I wasn't like a rabid dog looking for chocolate and cakes and things like some are. And like I used to be, I haven't been that kind of saint forever, but I've been there, I've done that, I know what the problems can be.
And the pain of having a swollen stomach.
Yes, and cankles and things like that.
Exactly,
yes.
All that water retention. So, you mentioned like having a pizza and donuts like the night before. Have you found a protocol which actually has worked for you in that final week? The week where a lot of it comes down to, a lot of people have made the mistakes. Have you found something that works for yourself in the final week?
I've worked with a couple of people over the years. I've only actually worked with 2 people, one being Harold Marilia, the IFBB Pro, and obviously Ken Skip Hill, which I've been working with for the last couple of years. And Skip uses that sort of skip load method and things, but we work together, as in we would bounce the ideas off. And I just found that not to change that much. For the 14 weeks, for the 45 weeks that we've prepped this year, every weekend on a Sunday, I would have a nominal number of hours to eat, the type of foods we were eating. Yeah. And after 45 weeks, what's going to happen. So I know that if I have 12, 14 hours on a Sunday, which is extremely hard to do, and it's not something to look forward to, believe me, I know that 3 days after, on the morning of the 4th day, the water's gone, and I'm full, and I'm ripped. And I know that because I've done it every week, for 45 weeks. So my final week is no different. The week before the universe, the only difference is we did the load on the Monday instead of the Sunday. So then, instead of Saturday morning, instead of earlier on in the week being water off and ready, it was Saturday morning, which is obviously appropriate. So we just manipulated the day by 1 day. But, we slightly altered the water, but there was nothing drastic. We didn't super load or hit diuretics really hard and again, I've learned this over the years because I used to be really bad at it. I think too many people run into that final week, and I hear it now. Oh, it's peak week. Oh, yeah, don't worry about anything because that final week, the magic happens.
Yeah.
It's 7 days, and it's 7 days just like the 7 days you've just had. There is no magic potion. There is no magic trick. If you're looking good, you run into that show like 2-3 weeks out. Just do what you're doing. Just keep that same plan going, and it's just the last 24 hours. You can just manipulate it a very small amount just to get that maybe a little bit of water off or a little bit more fullness into your physique, like I did with the pizza and the donuts. I lowered my water, and with that and a small amount of diuretics, I woke up Saturday morning full and there. So, my advice to anybody would be don't mess with what works.
That if it ain't broke, then you don't need to fix it as such. So
yeah. Essentially, I know far too many guys that have done what I've done and repeated something week in, week out, and then know how the body's going to react, only to suddenly go, right, I'm going to eat 3,000 grams of carbs of white potato, but you've not done that throughout your prep. Yeah, but that carbs me up. I don't see the understanding of it, doing that. So
the body reacts badly to it because it's not used to it and everything.
Well, exactly. If you get a carb up, be it clean or not, throughout your prep, that's what you should be carving up in the final week, because how that reacts.
So that's obviously what's worked for you. In the last, I've only noticed in the last sort of year or two, but there's been a lot of talk with regards to peptides and that sort of thing on the forums and people deciding what to do with that. Notice you've got quite a lot of knowledge on it, done some articles for your website. What are your thoughts on peptide use and how have you managed to use them to benefit yourself?
Well, people are grouping a lot of new drugs under the banner of peptides. The peptides that I call peptides are obviously the GHRP and GHRH groups, which are GHRP 6, 2, and ipremeline, and modified GRF, and its subsidies, which are CJC 1295, with or without DAC. I think they're brilliant, to be honest. I think used correctly, I think they can enhance a physique. At the end of the day, growth hormone that you inject is a synthetic compound. So your body at some point is going to go, you know what, stop that. And it will stop your own production because a synthetic compound's coming into your body, just as it does with testosterone.
So it shuts it down as such.
Well, yeah, there's a negative feedback loop. Yeah. When that happens, how that happens, I really don't think, and people do this on the forums all the time. Yeah, it happens then. Yeah. You can't say that. There is no then. You know, you can't tell me you know that at that point, that's when it doesn't happen like that. There are medical people that don't know that. And this guy who lifts in a gym once or twice a week thinks he knows better. So, but it does happen, and it will happen.
Yeah.
Where with peptides, they release your natural growth. The growth that got you from baby to man, they release it. So in my eyes, using those peptides can only be a good thing. Now, how they're used is it's getting a little bit confusing nowadays, because what I'm seeing every day is people challenging the actual initial information, which is a good thing to a degree.
Yeah.
Then they're making up their own ways. Oh, no, you hit it with higher dose. You know, I saw a post on TM today by one of the members that I was curious to what he said, and the member said that he could feel that his pituitary gland was emptying.
I saw that one as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, really? You know, you need the amount of medical tests you would have to go through to find out if your pituitary gland was emptying is unreal. And you get that from a feeling? You know, I'm not being off. The member's a good guy, and he's got plenty of knowledge. I just don't understand that sort of statement when it comes to peptides, because no one knows that. What we do know is that you can increase the frequency of GH pulse throughout the day by injecting a saturation dose of GHRP and GHRH. And the most important thing with that is frequency, not dose. If you inject 50 mcg, which is half saturation for a 100 kilogram man, 5 times, that will be better than injecting 500 mcg once a day. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact. And there are hundreds of studies to prove that. Yeah, general guys on the forum that work on building sites or in lawyers' office and whatever seem to think, oh, no, but this works better because my source told me or whatever, you know.
The person selling it to him wants him to take more.
Well, you know, this is it. I spoke to a guy on UK Muscle, and apparently his source said to him he had to cycle peptides because they're synthetic. You know, the information, you've got to look at, studies are great, and I love a good study that shows you the way to move forward. But then what you've got to do with that study is to look at it and then apply it to yourself, and then look at what it gives you. Don't take the study as that's it. There's no more discussion. This study says this, so that's fact. And it's not. No study, you will never reproduce the conditions in a study. Never. So then you can't apply the results of that study to yourself. So I do a lot of trialing. I'm doing a couple now with high dose ipremeline at night and high dose PEG-MDF after training.
Yeah.
Because studies have shown that there's an extended half-life with ipremeline, and 4 or 5 hours after you've taken a large dose at night, you get another pulse. Well, does that happen in the real world? Do I have to be in an oxygen tank, you know, after eating 300 grams of carbs as my last meal? And do you see what I mean? I need to apply that to myself and then go, do you know what? That was worth it.
It's one of the side of things where it's like, don't look too deeply into it. See what actually works for you as the individual. Once again, just what you found with the cardio, with the last week and everything like that.
Yeah, you know, don't get me wrong. Studies have their place.
Yeah.
But their place should be to direct you into thinking for yourself to trial something for yourself. Every other day use of synthetic growth, in my opinion, is the best way to use synthetic growth. The best way. And I've been using injectable growth for over 10 years. That may not be the best way for someone else, but that may be for various factors. I know that I know exactly what I'm eating because I weigh all my food. I'm training with the emphasis on growth because I rest more than I'm in the gym. And I use quality products. So I know, for me, taking all that into consideration, that's the best for me. So my opinion is obviously only really for me, but if everything's nailed, then it should apply. But people go, oh no, but I did 15 IUs and I look great, and of course you will. 15 IUs a day, you're going to look massive. But you stop that 15 IUs a day, and the water will dissipate, and you won't look massive. So you've just got to look at something and apply it to yourself, and then see where you go with it. Yeah.
So with that and everything you've said about the universe, more than likely is your last show. Is that still going to be the case? Have you got any other plans for competing in the future?
There are no plans at the moment.
Not itching?
Well, I'm not itching because I've just finished 45 weeks prep. I never want to see a pot of Dreamtime again at the moment. Are there any plans? No. Would I like to? Probably. I've been competing for 21 years. I'm getting better and better each year, and that's not just my opinion. Would I like to compete next year and the year? Yeah. I'll not say different because I love to compete. I love that 5 minutes on stage. I like the transformation, that is made through that prep period. Don't get me wrong. I don't like it when I'm doing it, but I do like it by the end. But I've retired, and I've called it retirement because it's a final. It's not a break. If it's a break, you're always thinking about it. So I've retired, not because I think I can't give anything more on stage, but because I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife we've been together 16 years. She's been through the majority of my competitive life, and she's supported me and been there and backed me up and everything. And they need a break. From January the 1st this year up until November the 3rd, I didn't have tea, evening meal with my family at all. Why? Because I was either in the gym or doing cardio. It was all about me. I was doing that. And I couldn't...
Very selfish sport, isn't it?
Hugely selfish. If it was just a cardio day and I was at home, which is another thing, because obviously I'm not home all the time. But if I was at home and I wasn't at the gym, I couldn't eat because I'd be like, oh, no, that's too close to cardio. Right, okay, I'll just be up in my office working or whatever. And I didn't get to spend time with my kids to do normal things. And until the weekend, until the Sunday. And it was all a rush, where since November the 4th this year, whenever I'm at home, like last night, my wife cooks a meal, and she loves to cook, so she cooks from scratch, so I know, everything that's in it. It's not processed rubbish. We sit around the table, I get to know what my 12-year-old daughter's done at school and what she's doing, my son and everything, and I get to do more things with my family, and that is the biggest reason why I decided after 21 years that was it for now.
So it's time to give back to your family.
Exactly, and I know so many guys that didn't, and are now either alone or with someone else but not with their kids. And at the end of the day, and I'm looking at them now, it's about a plastic trophy. Don't get me wrong, I love every competition I enter, I give it my all, and the trophy and stuff like that, all these merits and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you do bring it down to brass knuckles, it's just a trophy. So my work had a bit to play in it as well, because like more responsibilities. You can't really, when you're at the latter stages of prep, and you want to bite anybody's head off, you can't really go into a one-to-one meeting with a major client. But essentially, the whole reason for it is family. Now, my wife has never said choose us or compete in, and she never would have. But she has said that in 4 or 5 years' time, when My 10-month-old is nearly 6, and my 6-year-old is like 11, and my daughter, God forbid, she's 17. That might be a case of, do you know what, the family's grown now and whatever, everybody's into different things. If you still want to do it, and I've still got the fire in my belly to do it, I'll compete again. But, and I think this is why I've still got the passion to grow now. Because if I do come back, I'm coming back to win the Britain. I'm not coming back to compete. I'm not, I won my regional qualifier every year since 2004. That's not to say that in 3-4 years' time there won't be someone there that I can't beat, but I've done that. I would be coming back to win the Britain, and if I didn't think I could win the Britain, I wouldn't come back. So
the fire is still there.
Oh, the fire is definitely still there. I'll kick CJ's ass in the gym whenever I'm at home, and our other training partner, and I will still be wanting to grow. I'm wanting to progress, and this time next year I'll be bigger and better. But I'll be bigger and better with a better home life and knowing more about my family.
Exactly. So, thank you for taking the time with the interview today. Just finally, before we obviously go on here, is how can people contact yourself? Because you do your prep, your training, and you do your diets for everyone on there and contest preparation. How can people get in contact with yourself if they wanted to do that?
Well, obviously, either through contacting me on TM or UK Muscle. I've got my own site now, which is www.teampscarb.co.uk, so they can contact me on there. Or Facebook. I've got 2 Facebook accounts. The one, if you're not already on my Facebook, the one I suggest people join is the P-Scarb Bodybuilder one, because that would be just bodybuilding. I'm transferring a lot of people over that I don't know personally or never spoken to and whatever from my Paul Scarborough one, which is more family and things like that. But any of those, I'm on Twitter under PScarb101. So any of those forms of contact, and I try to get back to people within 24 hours, if not sooner.
Okay, so people can easily contact you if they want to take advantage of your experience and get in touch with you. So. Thank you for your time today. Is there anything else that you want to add at all?
No, not really. I just think that bodybuilding in the UK is going in a really good direction at the moment, because there is a lot of knowledge out there. And like I said at the beginning, people struggled in the era that I started because there wasn't any knowledge. It's just that what guys need to do is take the knowledge that's on the net and then just sort of take it apart a bit and then apply it to themselves. Don't take things as gospel. Don't look at my diet in my journal and apply that to yourself, because you may have a faster metabolism, you may have a slower one. Well, it doesn't work like that. But just take bits from it and then apply it to yourself. Don't be lazy. I found myself calling people lazy too much. They are, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I just think that you just need to do something for yourself. Bodybuilding is a selfish sport, but you need to do something for yourself. Research, the knowledge is out there. There's more than enough that's out there. And then once you've done that, then ask some intelligent questions so you can make a choice to push yourself forward.
So thank you for your time. 10-minute interviews turned into about half an hour or so.
Yeah.
No doubt we'll all speak to you again on the forums and on a future radio show. But thank you for your time today.
All right, buddy. You take care now.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Well, first off, I'd just like to say congratulations to Paul. That's been, how long has that been? 20 odd years?
Something like 40, maybe 50.
50?
Could be.
It's a long time anyway. He's been competing, and as we were saying before, he's won his class at the qualifier 8 years in the trot,
which is an impressive feat in its own. There's nobody can boast to that kind of achievement.
That is, and so congratulations, Paul. One thing that I had noted for his interview, obviously. I'd also like to say thanks to Ollie. That's an awful lot better, because it gives everybody listening down south a break for ever.
They'll be able to, they don't need to, have subtitles.
A break for their accent. So, as I was saying,
it's quite interesting. I thought, what he says about the difference in his prep, for back then, in ye old days when bodybuilding was black and white, versus what he's done, basically for the universe there for his swan song. Everything's nice and simple. anabolics wise, test in Winnie.
Well, that's the thing, because he was using back then test prop and Winstrol, which is basically exactly what's been used now.
It's still the cornerstone now.
I mean, when you're best, you were saying to me earlier there that you're best. I think that's what you were using.
Yep, absolutely, best condition by far I ever showed, and that was simply it. But a couple of ancillaries that weren't anabolics, but yeah, it just goes to show it's again, what we were talking about in other sections there, about keeping things simple. There's too much overcomplication. Drugs out there that are touted to be, the transformer of physiques, for instance, the Lysotren, it's like the god drug for everybody. Everybody think, take super doses of that, your body will transform. As we know, by and large, it's a lot of nonsense. Yeah, these drugs are effective, but you're not going to, transform into some show-winning physique because you suddenly enter that into your prep, plan. Or
I mean, how much would you say that Tren gives you, like extra percentage-wise? I mean, if you're in condition, you're looking good, you're dialing down into a show, if you add in some Tren Ace or whatever, how much extra do you really think that's actually given?
Again, obviously it'll be person dependent as to how they're going to respond to the thing as well, and condition dependent. But it's going to give you that element of fullness, which by virtue is going to give you that element of hardness looking there.
Yep.
Is it going to make you look like a entirely different physique, to what you used without it?
Generally not.
No, I wouldn't. Not in my opinion, and not in my experience. I'd have to say, because I've went up there, over a gram a week of Tren, and I've also used as little as a few 100 milligrams a week. And by far, the better look I spotted was when I did use the smaller doses.
Yep.
And this is talking in off seasons and preps. So it's well versed. Again, obviously, that's my opinion. That doesn't mean it's gospel.
Yep. And talking about his food as well, he was pushing it down, just basically eat as little as possible, which is, to some extent, a lot of guys are still doing that.
Definitely.
You do see people that
scared.
They're scared to eat, and they actually undereat to a huge degree on their diet, on their prep.
And again, which touches back nicely to the Nathan and the James's opinions. It's the types of food that they're putting in there as well. It's very much the old school way where very low fat diet.
Yep.
Just keep on taking carbs away. Just keep on upping the cardio, and that's it. It's a bit like what Paul says for back then. It was like you just tended to do what you were told.
Yep.
Don't ask any questions. Don't investigate it further, because basically the information wasn't out there, and it was like a witch's circle almost. Trying to gather information.
Yep.
For the guys that were established. Whereas obviously as time has gone on, people realise the importance of things like putting fats into the diets, using different food sources. Why everything doesn't need to be bland and torturous, for half a year at a time, which it's a lot of nonsense. Using pros as an example isn't always the best example, because obviously everybody's going to say these guys have got the best genetics in the planet, but they're also the people that most of us can recognise, the most recognisable names. But these guys aren't getting into that condition by using your plain old turkey and rice, and torturing themselves, whipping themselves day in day out. You look at any one of their diets, and the top amateurs in this country, up and down the country, year in year out, opinions have changed, everything's evolved, and it just goes to show it doesn't need to be the way it was in the past,
Yep.
which has obviously a bearing on your personal life as well.
Yeah, one thing that this a bee in both their bonnets tends to be like, people think it has to be chicken, it has to be turkey, it has to be white fish, but then people never seem to grasp the concept of looking at the macros of like your extra lean beef mince and what you can do with food.
Absolutely, but adding a few things in there as flavouring, which isn't going to affect your condition one iota.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I touched on somewhere the other day when I was cracking a joke. One of the biggest bodybuilding myths seems to be switch to turkey. Turkey will get you dry. Why? Why? Could somebody explain this myth to me? This mystery.
I think maybe bodybuilding lifestyles and myths as a whole show on its own. To be honest, we'll digress back to that. But cardio, what Paul was saying about cardio. Yourself and I have always did mostly steady state. Yep. I've always had a wee bits injected in there of HIIT. What's your thoughts on the high intensity stuff?
I think I was guilty of what he was mentioning there as well. It's not so much that I dismissed HIIT stuff, over the years. It's just that I couldn't see a good enough reason to bring it in, and in times that I had used it, admittedly I wouldn't have given it the chance that it needed. I think more so watching you prep and being involved there with you and seeing especially in the last time that you were out, how you implemented it then showed just how effective it can be.
Yep.
And then this year, with the kind of the breach athletes that we've got between us, we're implementing it in their preps, and it's certainly producing the results. Which again, thinking back years, it's great looking back with hindsight, but. It could have paid to several endless sessions of looking at a gym wall, doing 40-minute sessions to an hour sessions at a time, twice a day, that kind of thing. Yep. It certainly seems to be as if it's got its place. I certainly know that I'll be giving it a try, if I ever get my britches back on and up into the stage.
And one thing that kind of on the hit note for me is that I tended to do quite a lot of skipping, and I always kind of said, I think you find this personally is when you're on the treadmill going twice a day for 45 minutes, your legs get fucking tired. They get dog tired.
Absolutely.
And I can't imagine that if you have to really bust your ass doing cardio, that your legs aren't going to look maybe their best.
I definitely, I know that I've certainly fell into that trip myself. I mean, my legs weren't a particularly strong point in my physique anyway, but certainly the more I implemented, the treadmill in, which is, let's face it, that's more or less all I did, my legs just got stringier and stringier looking. Yep. And certainly I took that look. One of the last times that I was out in 2010, when I stopped doing that, when I started cutting my that type of cardio down, it was probably the fullest that my quads had ever looked.
Yep.
So I wish I could have recognised that again, before then. Yep. And I do agree with you there. The only thing with skipping is you do need an element of a beat there. I'd tie myself up and hang myself.
That probably wouldn't be a bad thing, to be honest. Push pull. I know that's something that you and I have both did for a while. We both did that, kind of trained together for a wee while back in 2010 doing that. Yep. And it's something that Paul's got me doing just now.
I think it is a very effective way of training. I think the key with push pull is picking the exercises that you can keep the most intensity with as well, because I think many trainers out there pick push pull and suddenly it becomes a fast and quick way to get through the week, through your training sessions through the week. I've certainly I've witnessed guys in the gym doing some token sets for feel good exercises, and that's it. Instead of implementing the big compounds in there.
Sorry, I should just note push pull legs. What we're discussing there, rather than just push pull, which could maybe confuse a few.
I don't know. I spent 6 months doing just push pull. Who needs legs when you're on stage?
Yeah, that's true. One of the things he's talking about is how organised you need to be, because obviously he's a very, very busy guy, and a lot of guys are, and a lot of guys will maybe kind of complain that they don't have the time. But I mean, you look at Paul and you look at some of the other people, maybe Lindsay Beattie, who we had on, and how busy these people's lives are. But if you have got the desire, then
you will find a way.
You find the time, you make the time. If that means even for myself, going up at 4:50 AM every day, and not getting home maybe till 7 at night, you've got to make the food again. You've just got to be efficient with time, and that's something I've been trying to drive home an awful lot to the guys.
No, absolutely. I mean, you hear timeless, the amount of people out there that think they've got a hard time, because they've maybe got a bit more time in their day than what many people have, but they don't seem to grasp the concept just how lucky they are in that case. Whereas you've got other guys out there that have got the determination, that fire, as Paul says, and their days seem insurmountable time wise, and you think, how the hell do you manage to fit in 6-7 meals and a cardio session and a training session and rest
and another cardio session,
and if you're really fat, another cardio session. It does seem almost impossible. So it makes you laugh when some think they're moaning already at even these early stages of the diet. People think I've got a hard time trying to fit it in now. If you want it, you really, really want it, you will find a way no matter what.
Yep. And that's kind of ties into it as well with the family situation. It's always difficult with prep and trying to fit it in, so obviously wish Paul well. So cheat meals as well, that's something that's always in the forum. It's always a popular discussion, and we've talked to quite a few people about it. As you know, and most people do know anyway in the forum and listens in, it's Paul's a fan of the kind of skip hill method, whereby you have a set amount of time, you have a lot of processed carbs, and then basically you monitor your weight go down, which is basically how we do it to an extent,
just on a smaller scale, a more controlled scale, I suppose.
Yep. And it's something that basically I don't think I could go without in a prep.
Absolutely. There's often, people out there, the hardcore, who say, if you have a cheat, you're weak. As I've seen posted up in a hashtag yesterday, I think it was
Mr. Dutch Scott.
Scott Francis, a cheat day equals your mind beat you day.
Is that right, Scott?
Okay. That'll be why we see people with incredible physiques and condition turning up on stage after having maybe 1,000 gram of carbs for sugary sources and processed sources. It just goes to show. The bottom line is, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's no question, that people can go out there and have monumental cheat days, week in, week out, and they will still turn up on that stage in incredible condition. No other magic potion, included, no other mystical, way of doing things. It's just the time proven it works. People's bodies adapt, people's metabolisms are different.
And you know what, I think as well, he's talking about on a Sunday he gets that time to go and spend time with his kids and then have some chocolate, and that was a big thing for you, being able to get up,
absolutely,
up with your two kids in a Saturday morning, and it was sweetie day.
That's it. Then they go to the supermarket and run amok, let them just throw in whatever, into the trolley whatever they would, and they knew, it was nice for the point of view, because obviously on Monday to Fridays their working week essentially as well. They're at school, they're just the same as all the rest of us, and then you get to that weekend, it was like a release, and that day they woke up on their mornings, as I'm sure many guys out there can relate to, their kids will wake up in the mornings if they include in this sort of thing, and it's great, and it joins as a bonding thing again, and it includes them in the part of the journey as well, which is nice, because at the end of the day as well, as much as you need everybody there, it's still a selfish journey.
Very selfish.
At the end of the day.
And I'll tell you what as well, a lot of people end up with nobody at the end of it because they can't see past that. And there's somebody else, very, very well-known Scottish bodybuilder, who's also of the kind of opinion cheat meals is failure and all that. And you look and they're not in a good place. You end up with nobody. You've got to be able to have that element of balance. I don't think. For me, it would be worth it if I couldn't go out on a Saturday night and have a meal with my wife. How would normality continue to go? And you've got to have that balance so that it keeps the relationship with a semblance of normality going at the same time. Yep. It doesn't harm the bigger picture. If you truly believe it harms the bigger picture in such a way, is it worth it then? Really, is it, or could you not maybe diet for a bit longer? So that you can involve these sort of things into it. It's a hard enough journey without making these things harder. Everybody's got different mental, strengths and physical strengths and that kind of thing. I myself, I can get into fantastic condition, but I could not do it categorically unless I had a cheat to focus on each week. It just wouldn't be worth it. It just gives you a focus for the end of the week, and you achieve, and then you have your day or your maybe your couple of hours or so.
Which is why, again, to touch on the way we do our guys and girls, it's essentially why we have their cheat day in the day that we have them looked at for their weekly overview, because it's almost like a kind of, you then associate that day with reward. It's not that you're looking to pat every day in the back all the time, but again, it's on that day it becomes a team thing, a camaraderie thing. So you have that feel good factor there, where everybody's got together, everybody can see how each other's progressed after busting their asses all week, and then you get to go away, walk away from the gym, and then you go to go and have your time with your significant other, yourself if you want to just lock yourself in the room and binge eat, anything. But the point is, that day becomes a special focus in the week that you've worked your arse off all week to get to, and sometimes, for many, and I've been there myself, that's what gets you through that week. That's what dragged you to the very end. And if your willpower held it.
Okay, so next up we have an interview with Nathan Harman.
So Nathan Harman, thank you very much for talking to me on Team Muscle Radio.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. I've just got a few questions for you, and as we've kind of covered already, just a wee pre-chat, just a wee pre-laugh there with the guy. Just for people listening, he's very down to earth. I think this is going to be a good one. See what you were saying.
I see if I can understand you.
Oh, mate, come on now. Come on, give us a break. So, mate, if you could tell us a bit about your sporting background.
Yes, yeah. At the age of 10, I started cycling. I'd watched Tour de France on telly. My dad used to cycle to work. Also from there, basically, we found out there was a cycling track. I'm from London, so there was a cycle track in the famous Herne Hill Stadium and Crystal Palace. We went up to there and, just having a look around, and we noticed that there was a lot of, young kids cycling at the time, and, I sort of fell in love with it. I'd done that till the age of 23. I rode for a pro team at the age of 15.
I was a British champion for my age, and got asked to represent my country. So that was a great honour and a real achievement. At the age of 11, I was actually diagnosed with diabetes. So at that point, I was thinking, well, is it all over? But it just goes to show that if you want to do it, you can do it. And you've got some real good bodybuilders out there who are actually diabetics.
Yeah,
and he's a phenomenal guy. And great knowledge, and what he's done there at the Worlds. Bringing in that package. You've got to give the guy all credit, because living with diabetes is very, very difficult, and it's such a misunderstood. That people just don't understand it. But for what he's done, I know how hard he's actually worked for that, and give that guy the credit, because he's done fantastic. So yeah, I stopped cycling at the age of 23 when I returned from France. I was actually living out in France, and I decided that my blow-up bed in the corner of a room wasn't enough luxury, so I thought it was time to come home. It wasn't, I didn't make it at the end of the day. I wasn't good enough at that time. So that's when I first started to get into, looking for a job. And, I previously used the gym as functional training for my sport at that period of time. So it wasn't like, what we do today, but we were working with bodybuilders. But that's how I first got into it. Started my personal training course and moved into the nutrition. And it's been lucky to meet the people that I've actually met in order to get me to where I am today. That's how it started, and and I'm very lucky to have met some great people in the sport.
But really, just been a case of at the right place at the right time, and just been open to opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I first started my first prep in 2005. 2008, I first started, getting into personal training at 2005. In 2008, I'd done my first prep. In 2010, I'd met Lindsay Beattie, as you know, who was previously on the last show. And it stemmed from there at first, because I'm not a bodybuilder. A lot of the guys wouldn't, I would try and talk to them, but there was that misunderstanding, well, what does he know? He's not a bodybuilder. Is where my background's obviously in nutrition, and it started with Lindsay. Then I started working with quite a lot of girls, and in 2011 I met Sean Joseph Tavernier, just at the back end of the British Grand Prix. I was working with his partner at the time, and we was introduced. And then that's so my first guy was actually working with a pro for his second pro show, which was the Toronto Pro. So that was a little bit worrying at the time, but still exciting. And we've got a great friendship, me and Sean. It's gone a lot further than just coach client, and that's the way I like to be with my clients. I do like to build a friendship, because you go with them every step of the way. It is hard. The journey that they do is hard. As yourself, it's very, very difficult, and sometimes they just need that shoulder. And as coaches, that I think sometimes they get a bit of grief, but what you've got to remember is we do a tiny, tiny little bit of actually that prep. Sometimes we're just there just to boost a little bit of confidence for the athlete. The athletes have got to take full credit for what they do, because they're the ones doing the cardio, doing the diet, and they work phenomenally hard and deserve everything that they get at the end of the day.
So do you reckon that, or would you say that it's a fair point to make, that your first few clients in bodybuilding, especially the men, must have took a fair leap of faith, because obviously coming to cycling, not being a bodybuilder, and actually people giving you that trust, it's quite a big thing, that. Does somebody give their trust to you?
It is, of course, but if you for the people that know Sean, that know he's got great knowledge himself, and he's very understanding. That we sat down and we had a conversation, and it was obviously he's thinking on the same path as me. It's all about trust. You've got to have that trust with your coach client. I find with a lot of new people coming in that I'm working with, if they've never worked with a coach before, it's very difficult for them to adjust, that everything's out of their hands. And I'm very much an individual that if it's working, then don't worry, keep going with it, don't worry. And some people can't, they find that difficult to understand, that they want to know what's happening next week, this week, the next day. And as we both know, sometimes it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
so it was going from like never working with a guy straight into his second pro show. So I was confident in my own ability. because, you know, and we had built sort of a good friendship beforehand. And at the end of the day, you know, it's all about knowing what they've done previously or what their ideas are, as well as my ideas, and formulating the plan from then. As to oppose sometimes people, some coaches, you know, will be very straight and this is it, it's the only way. But you need to know and get feedback from your client, and that's the main thing is to get the big positive feedback, or, you know, feedback in terms of, okay, this is what we've done previously and this is what we should be doing. And having the trust and confidence between each other, like Sean let me take control, and that was that. And it come off in the end. Second pro show, Toronto Pro, and it was his first win. You know, for an Englishman to do that, I think the last time was Dorian Yates.
So would you say taking that jump across and finding yourself working with bodybuilders and the absolute nonsense that you find in bodybuilding with the rice tails and the things you must hear from people must just be like incredible, because we all hear it in the forums, and obviously you're trying to coach guys, and when it comes to the nitty-gritty, people start to panic and all sorts of absolute nonsense comes out in there. Like, do you find that it's just a lot of times a case of what you're really doing is like try to just people just kind of standing at each side of the rails and just pushing them back in the middle and just like walking them along the path? And different.
I notice it's very different. Like, I do have quite a selection of different clients, and some people, you know, as yourself, some people need, you know, that comfort, and, you know, there's ways of talking to people and getting better reactions out of them. You know, it's if one of them's panicking because they're behind, you can either say, well, you're fat, or you can say, okay, we're slightly behind, but we know we've got to keep pushing it, and the outcome is a totally different response. You know, and the second one there, you know, you're slightly behind, but we need to push it. You know, they know they're slightly behind, and that's why they're panicking, but they don't want a negative comment. And you've got to be positive with these people, because, as you know, dieting and your mental state is very, very hard, and there's nothing worse than being negative. You know, you need good, positive people around you to get a good result. You know, you don't want negativity, you know, in anything that you do, in any form of your life. And, you know, I try and promote positivity and working with my guys to the best of their ability.
It's fair to say really the larger element of psychology in it, and learning how to deal with it.
Yeah, 100%.
How that person reacts to the words that you use. And
I think that could be probably one of the biggest things with a lot of these people, you know, even small words such as diet, you know, it automatically, as soon as you hear the word diet, it's like, well, I've got a diet. Or is an eating plan a better way? You know, so...
What association really is?
Yeah, psychology is huge now, and you know, and coming away from bodybuilding and going into other sports, you know, it's massive. They have their own team of psychologists, you know, and especially bodybuilders, I think it's a big part that is actually missing. You know, positivity around people and the way they actually think.
As one of the biggest truths, I would say, is dealing with people that works best for them. Because personally, I mean, when I'm getting prepped for a show, we tend to have a really, really good laugh. Myself and Brian, and I'm very comfortable with Brian saying, yeah, your legs are in, but your back's fat.
Yeah.
And I'm very comfortable with that. And, but, as you say, some people, you'll get a good reaction to that, and then some people, it'll just be the end of the world, and they'll just go and eat four McChicken sandwiches.
Yeah, that's it, you know, and then the next time you see them, they're even fatter. So, you know, it is definitely finding what works for that client and being comfortable. You know, and you've got that with your guys, you know, they can, like you've just said, they can tell you you're fat, and you take it on the chin, have a laugh and say, all right, well, I'll get on my cardio and I'll do a little bit more, or, you know, you adjust your diet. So, yeah, it's finding what works best for that individual and then moving forward from there.
Very, very true, mate. Just moving on slightly, if you would be able to give us a wee bit of info about who you're working with at the moment, and like coming into the Brits, obviously we're 5-6 weeks away.
Yep, we're a little bit longer, 7.
7 weeks away, and it's starting to obviously get into the serious stuff now. The guys that be prepping are going to be probably emailing you about 4 times a day.
Yeah, I'm getting more phone calls now, so I know it's getting close.
Panic stations are ahoy, mate, so I won't keep you too long tonight, but if you could just like give us a few names of some of the guys you're working with at moments, and some of the guys that are looking to be really impressive for this year's British finals.
Yeah, I'm currently still working with Sean Joseph Tavernier, so he'll be looking to get ready for next year now. He had a slight abductor tear last year, so we decided this year he's going to take off, put a bit more size on, not too much, but, come back as a little bit more complete. For the British, my boy Ricardo Carrera, I think he's got an absolutely fantastic physique. He's come on leaps and bounds in the last few years. So he's going to be in the light heavies. I'm working with around 20 people, the British. So I've got some new guys in there as well. Unfortunately, I was working with Jordan Jones. He's had an injury, Gaspari athlete, so he's out at the moment. I've got girls, Carly Thornton, Lydia Reese, Adele Garland, and as you know, I've previously worked with Sarah Hallett this year for the NABA, British and World. So I've got a lot going on at the moment, and I've got a variety of guys coming through, from light heavies, mainly into supers, which are my main guys. I've had about 3 guys for light heavies, and then heavyweight supers. So I'm looking forward to it.
So your day basically at the Brits is going to be
a nightmare.
Well, it's a nightmare. I was going to try and find a better psychological spin on it there, but I don't think there is one.
Nah, it would be great. I'm looking forward to it because obviously it's a big event this year with the pro show, and obviously UKBFF, from what I understand, is during the day, and then the pro show of an evening. You've got the Sportex Expo. I think this is what the country needs. I think it's going to be a huge, huge weekend for people. Watching the amateurs and then watching the pro show is going to be absolutely fantastic. So if any people are listening, get your tickets and get down there to support. You've got a lot of people from, Testosterone Muscle going, so get down there and support these guys and support what a phenomenal event this is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that the way things are going with the kind of American model of like your show and your expo, along with like your MMA stuff, do you think this is going to actually work for the UK and it's going to take off?
Yeah, I think so, because it is bringing, different sports coming into, to one arena. Like with Body Power, they have a lot going on, and then they walk around the expo. I think it's just going to get bigger and better as Body Power has. It's grown over the years, and I think this is definitely a positive for British bodybuilding, for sure. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Hopefully, I'll make it, and I'll catch up with you at some point.
Yeah, for sure. No,
I don't know about catch up with you. I'll be like, pass you while you're sweating and like say hi.
Just see the guy running about. That's me.
So if you could talk a wee bit about some of the things you do, the things that you like to do with diets. Obviously, everybody's slightly different, but you tend to find that guys like yourself and coaches, they've got a kind of rough sketch of how they go. Yeah. So, I mean, could you tell us a bit? You're a keto guy, you're a high carb guy. Give us a bit of.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think the problem that I've noticed when working with my athletes is that they undereat. I think they're very scared to eat, to actually put the food in, and once they do and they build that trust with me, that the results, they see the results and then they want more and more and more. I work sort of around 2 grams per pound per body weight for protein. Start on that, see how the body reacts. Obviously, you've got all the rest of your macros in there, carbs and fats. Keep carbs, depending on the athlete. It's obviously, we start at a moderate weight. If they can go higher, then we go higher. We keep the protein around the same, maybe drop it, maybe go a little bit higher. But that definitely depends upon the individual. Firm believer in carbs, yeah. I'm no expert, but what I do is it's got to be simple. I think I've worked with a few people now and seen what they've previously done, and it's very complicated.
Would you say that, I mean, people tend to overcomplicate things?
Yes,
and
sure.
The problem with that is it makes too many variables.
This is it, and I've noticed with a lot of guys, one year they do one thing, and the next year they do a totally different thing. Instead of making small tweaks in order to get, there, it's, I'll go from A to Z in the alphabet. And it's just a huge area that's not necessary. You've got to make the small adjustments as opposed, well, okay, that didn't work for me, so I'll do something totally different. Again, depending how well that prep's gone, I think that's a big thing. But if it's only a small thing, if you're looking fantastic a week up to the show, then and you do something in the last week that causes the change, then you know the following year, do everything you did up until that last week and then make minor changes.
Yeah.
No, don't overcomplicate it, because there's no reason to. I find a lot of prep is down to common sense and being able to apply, that diet and looking at the physique, how quick the metabolism is, how well are they with carbs, how do they react with protein.
Yeah.
Not overcomplicating it. The worst thing you can do is overcomplicate it. Keep it simple and effective.
We just come back to what you're saying about the 2 grams of protein per pound. Just a few questions in that, really, just because that's obviously one of the biggest talking points always. Yeah. How much protein?
I know it caused a stir with Sarah when she was on there.
No, that's it, exactly, because there was a few people saying, like, you only need 1 gram protein. We're like, right, okay, maybe you think that, but you look like a fucking girl.
Yeah.
And then Sarah Hallett looks fucking awesome. She is a girl. So
I think a lot of the problem is, firstly, in today's society, it's a very stressful life we live, okay? So you need a certain amount just to basically function on a normal everyday activity.
Yeah.
So, I'll be looking at 1 gram there, okay?
Okay.
But 1 gram per pound per body weight. If you wasn't doing any training, that would just be what I would advise for a normal everyday individual, just for healthy living. The amount of pressure that is applied to each individual and the stress levels, cortisol, etc., that is going through the body, if we don't have that, then, as you know, we're just going catabolic.
Yeah.
And the way the British Food Standard Agencies, etc., are telling us how many calories we need, the way that the whole structure is all wrong. So, firstly, the individual needs to look, are you doing anything? Are you in the gym? Are you not in the gym? So we've got 1 gram. Then, if someone was just getting into training, then you probably look at 1.5 grams. And then from then on, it would be 2. And then again, depending, what we had to do with Sarah is basically she'd come out of the UKBFF to then go into NABA. So we had to transform her physique in such a short period of time, and that's why we had to go slightly higher with the protein content. But it's got to be safe. And I believe that bodybuilders should get blood tests done. Any individual in any sport should be getting the test done and making sure everything's functioning properly. Then you've got no reason to worry, because you know exactly what's going on within your body, because you're getting the results from the tests.
Okay, so what would you be advising to look for when you get your blood done?
So for bloods, you need hormone, firstly, lipids, okay, liver function, electrolytes, minerals, glucose, and prostate as a standard.
Okay. What about you? Do you ever get concerned with the urea contents and stuff like that?
Yeah, again, that's just a standard, profile in terms of what as a minimum. Then obviously, if you're looking at anything else, then bring it in. Yeah, there's no reason. If you can afford, or your GP is good enough to tick every box, go for it. Because, there's no harm in getting everything checked, for sure, 100%.
Definitely, I really agree with that. It's something that a lot of people just kind of bury their head in the sand with.
Yeah, we need to know how we're living just normally. Just normal everyday individuals should be getting checks done. And then, as an athlete, you're putting your body through a lot of stress. So, you need to be on top of this stuff. So it is about being healthy. If someone can't handle a certain amount of protein, then we drop it. But you've also got to take your supplements, your multivits, your BNC complex, probiotics, Live 52s, zinc as a standard for individuals. And again, sometimes they're forgotten.
Yeah, definitely. Zinc's one of the kind of major minerals that
exactly.
I think is people miss out. So what do you advise for your athletes for zinc doses?
Around 20 milligrams.
20 milligrams a day?
Yeah, a day, taken at night. If you go anything, I think it's above 20, you start having to bring copper in, things like that. And obviously, but you're going to get, if you're taking a multivitamin as well, you're going to get extra and your Vit Cs and stuff. So again, it all depends on your sort of how much your output, what your activity level is, depending again, and the only way you're going to know whether all of this is working is tests.
Yep. So just taking a step back to the protein, just before we move on, is when you count your protein content, do you include incomplete sources from like brown rice in that, or is that only from complete sources?
Just from your complete, your chicken, your steak, turkey, etc.
Just the complete sources.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. That's just another one that was raised in the forums kind of recently, was whether you should include it or not.
Yeah. No, I've always done it as a complete, and also when cooking the food, I know a lot of guys who it's either you weigh it then cook it, or you cook it then weigh it, and I advise my people to cook it and then weigh it, then you get your content, because also you're losing water out of some of your protein sources.
All right, okay. So you prefer to have stuff
cooked and then weighed.
Cooked and then weighed, because why? Sorry.
Because you're losing, for example, I cooked mince earlier and drained a load of water out of it, so the water content and the fluid content in some of the protein sources.
So really you can take the variation out of it and how much water that particular...
Yeah, if guys are listening now, next time, weigh it, then cook it, and then weigh it after and see the difference. Again, it's depending on the quality of the meat source as well, how good that sauce is and how much water we'll have in it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll give that a shot myself. I usually go the opposite. I usually weigh before.
Okay. Yeah, try it and and see what the figures come back out. Some people it might be minimal, but minimum over 365 days a year, 6-7 meals could be a huge amount.
Yep. Okay, mate. I'll take that on board myself and I'll give it a bash, and I'm sure we'll catch you in the forum at some point and update you. So, what about yourself? What is it you do now? Do you train yourself now, or are you still cycling, or? No,
no cycling anymore. I gave that one up. Yeah. If I'm, I do like to get into the gym. However, obviously, the problem is with the amount of people that I'm working with. Sometimes, I come last now. As before, when I was the athlete, it was all about me. But what's more important to me is my athletes actually get their plans, get everything they need, and then if there's time for me, then I'll do it. The roles are reversed from now on.
So we're not going to be seeing a Nathan Harman on the bodybuilding stage anytime soon then?
Got no chance. I'm not that crazy. Or boring.
Oh man, that's very true. It takes a special kind of fucking boring to do it, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I do love the sport. I'm still new to it. I'm still learning loads myself. And never forget that we're constantly learning. I'm learning from you guys, from the forums, and hopefully people take a little bit from today. And never think that you can't learn, because you definitely can.
Okay, mate. So just before we finish up, who are you tipping? I mean, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about who's going to win the Brits.
Yep.
Who do you see as being the main contenders? Who are you tipping this year?
I think it's going to either come from a heavyweight class or a light heavies. If Heraldus brings it, I don't know. I saw a photo of him a little while ago, and that guy is fantastic. He's phenomenal. I think if he just brings a little bit more conditioning.
Do you think he's got it in him, though? Do you really think he never really seems to do it at all? So just
I don't know. I know it's there to come off. Whether he wants to go that extra push, again, we will see that. I hope he does, because he has got a fantastic physique. He's phenomenal bodybuilder. So if he can bring it, I would definitely like to see that. And you've got Amph. If he comes across, then I think you've got a battle, because that guy can bring the condition.
He's got probably maybe not as much mass as Heraldus, but he's got a far superior, pleasing physique.
Yeah, definitely. He has got the package, like you say. He's not as big, but again, that guy can get in shape, and if he brings it, you never know. So again, them two, I think that's where the battle in the heavyweights is, and again. Anyone could turn up on the day. It's going to be on the day with these guys now, because it is very, very close. And again, in the light heavies, my guy Ricardo is going to be up there. You've got Alex Bardachow, who I worked with last year, a phenomenal athlete, very, very good bodybuilder. You know, you got Tony Bailey. I'm not sure if John Griffiths is doing it this year. Dean Laziak. You know, there's a variety of people that can be in the mix in that light heavy class. I think that's probably going to be the hardest class.
I think the light heavyweight class is a class to watch this year.
I think so. Yeah, it's gonna come from them too. I'm sure of it. I'd like to put some money on it. Not too much, but yeah, I think heavyweights, light heavies. I think that's where it's. I think that's where the pro card's going to come from. Yeah.
Okay, mate. Okay, that'll be interesting to see. So, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. That's been a brilliant interview, and I will get back to you very shortly.
No problem. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, mate, so Nathan Harman, top guy in the UK at the moment, is 19 guys at the Brits, he was saying, and 50 clients in total at the moment.
That is hot property. I would not envy that guy's time in the day.
No, that is one busy son of a bitch. And he's for career cycling, which is good, because that's my main hobby.
That's your, that along with swimming.
Yeah, swimming in that, according to Big Bear, prick. But what I liked about what he was saying is how you've really got to trust your prep guy, which is something that we talk about as well. And
people don't realise the extent that you have got to hand. You're not handing your life over, but how much you've got to hand the reins of the control over to that person, and then it is a big step for any of us.
And it's not to say you can't discuss things, and it's not to say you can't make it. I'll sometimes maybe text you, make a suggestion how I'm feeling, what do I think maybe the next step could be a good idea, and you'll say yes, or you'll say shut up
your arse.
fuck off, I'm taking your cabs, get to fuck. But you do need that trust. If you're going to put your prep in somebody's hands, and
you need to have a huge level of confidence in that person's ability.
Well, you do, and as well, the thing is as well, you can't trust yourself.
No, that's
you know sure. That yourself.
That's for sure.
You're probably as guilty as anybody sabotaging yourself.
Absolutely.
And once you get to that point of your diet, maybe 10 weeks out, and you start to think, fucking no,
is there something else I could do? Could I change this?
Yep. Can I add some stuff in? Take more food away? Am I behind schedule?
You become your own worst enemy.
I mean, some people obviously are behind schedule. Some people think, they're ahead of schedule. But the problem is, you need good eyes looking at you. You need somebody just to keep you calm.
You need that, in my opinion. You need that outside set of eyes. Doesn't matter who you are. You need that outside, unbiased and honest set of eyes to look at you.
I mean, I suppose in a way, what we're saying is you don't necessarily need a prep guy. You don't. Not everybody does.
That's for sure.
But you do need honest, good people around you that you trust. Because whether you apply your trust to the prep guy, whether you apply it to, just like a couple of good people looking at you. A good example is probably if you look at Ian Sturrock, for example. He's somebody that doesn't have anybody prep him, but he's always got people maybe take a look and
give an opinion.
Exactly, those kind of people you trust around you. And as well, I suppose what he was saying about the psychology of it, where you've got maybe saying to somebody, "Oh, you're a wee bit behind," rather than
how people will take things.
So I mean, how do you reckon that applies to us when we've got Fat Arse of the Week T-shirt when we hand out?
I think, to be fair, on the face of it, it seems over the hassle. Obviously, we do have our own, it's our way of bringing the groups closer together.
Unique,
but,
we're unique.
Yeah, unique. This year we've got quite a large bunch of athletes. I suppose between us we've got 10 to 12, athletes between guys and girls, and. As a motivator, we thought, we'll give the one who's progressed the least. That's not to say not progressed at all, but the one who's progressed the least, a Fat Arse of the Week T-shirt.
Yep. So this week we've got a congratulations to Michelle Morris, who's Michelle M in the forum,
who's managing to go 3 out of 4 so far.
3 out of 4 weeks. So she actually went to Fat Arse Fortnite, and to be honest, I don't see anything more motivating than that.
She has the Irish Kyle. The Fat Arse of the Week T-shirt.
And we've also got Daz. I don't even know his fucking username in the forum. It's Dazza MMK.
Donami Daz, something like that.
Donami Daz, aye. So he got the T-shirt as well this week. So congratulations to those guys. But we kind of digress a wee bit. What we're saying really is the psychology of how you talk to people.
How you critique them. Yeah, some people can't take it.
Yep.
And some people can, and that is down to a very individual thing. Obviously, that's down to the relationship you develop with that client, or it could be a friend. It could be someone that's been recommended to you. It could be someone from the other end of the country that you've perhaps never met in your life before. So therefore, you can only establish so much based on phone calls, texts, emails, that sort of thing. And obviously you gauge a reaction. You gauge how you can talk to somebody and how a certain person's going to take it that way. Some people you're working with, as you know yourself, have maybe come from a background of having eating disorders, and with people like that, you'd have to be sensitive, and establish where they are mentally in their life as well. Because the last thing you want to turn around and say to them is, well, you know what, you're coming in a wee bit slow. Next thing you know, they've got the fingers down the throat in the toilet, and you've got a disaster in your hands.
Sometimes it's maybe even a case of you've just got to not say anything at all and just say, okay, right, we're going to cut carbs by this much, and just don't even say you're behind schedule, because when you tell people that, that's when you maybe actually they start doing shit behind your back, and they panic.
And again, you need that honesty for them as well. Which
and Nathan, 2 gram of protein.
This is well, obviously I'm going to say it's good research. That's along our own train of thought. 1.82 gram,
round about that mark. But also taking it a step further than that, it's cooked weight chicken, and it's also not including your
second grade.
Your secondary, your
which means it's much higher than the actual, on the face of it, 2 grams per pound of protein. It could could vary as much as 50 grams plus. It depends on the volume of carbs and what your carb source is.
Well, if you're consuming 400 grams, say, like for myself, if I was consuming 400 gram of carbs per day, that's a considerable amount extra protein. Although it's not complete sources, it's relatively good quality stuff with brown rice.
But I suppose again, looking at it for a bigger picture, if a person's got a set amount of numbers and you're taking away from that set amount of numbers, whether you're counting that secondary source or not, you still have base number each week, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
And I suppose that kind of backs up James Collier's kind of train of thought as well, because it's more a case of you've got a portion of food and you take away some of that food rather than you're taking away macros, because then you start fucking about with things, and alright, okay, you can maybe take something away and you're actually taking away more than you maybe realise. So that kind of maybe does kind of back up a wee bit.
Shows you how the two different paths actually cross.
Well, it's 2 different trains of thought, but it's going to end up same result, really, isn't it?
Leading to the same goal ultimately.
And another thing that Nathan was saying, which is something that we both nodded at really when we were listening to it, was just saying about how just keep it simple.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see quite a lot in the forums. It's like people put up their day's diet and their day's their supplement regime. And it's an absolute fucking war and peace.
It's rocket science, you got your pre-workout, your intra-workout, post-workout, post-workout. Oh my god.
So and that's it. And I mean, alright, okay, you can add some aminos and stuff like that in there, but
still keep it simple. There's no need for,
And a thing as well is, I mean, people are doing a lot of this in a budget. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody's got a huge amount of money, and
also what people need to understand as far as that budget thing is, you can achieve just as, or virtually just as good a results as those working with a much bigger budget and overcomplicated.
Well, that's true, because I mean, in the past, yourself and Ramsey have always described yourself as Tesco value bodybuilders, because it comes down to it. Money is a big issue of prep. Everybody knows that. It's listening. I mean, like you're saying, okay, it's maybe nice if you've got 20 gram of aminos in there intra-workout and you've got no Vitargo after it, but
these things are
these bits and bobs. But I mean, at the end of the day, is it going to give you better results than just having your fucking protein shake and a Turkish delight or a bowl of cereal? Do you know?
You see, I mean, countless times in forums over the year, you'll have seen, wars break out over, what's the better carbohydrate source, what's the faster absorbing carbohydrate source, is it Maxim, Vitargo, just plain old sugar. Come on, plenty of guys were growing in simple things for lots of years.
Exactly. And also, I mean, my client recently asked me, that's prepping in our wee squad, he's saying, I've seen something about if I have my carbohydrates too quickly after training, that's going to blunt GH release, and should I wait? And I says, right, well, that's going to go into the keep it simple thing. Like, okay, it does, but is it going to make a difference? Is it really going to matter whether he waits half an hour in the grand scheme of things over the course of this diet?
No.
Really? Is it worth stressing about?
No, it's
just keep it as simple.
Just get on with it.
Just keep it dead simple. Just have your daily food and then just crack on and focus on the training, the cardio, and just
focus on putting in the effort in every other aspect, because as we know, the training and the cardio side, as much as everybody enjoys the cardio especially, but that's the easy part. If everybody could knock their pan in with the eating and just get the food quantities in that they need to and keep the rest of it simple, you'd see much better quality of condition and whatnot, that kind of thing arriving in the stage.
And I think you're going to find if you get somebody that's putting in 100% in their training, 100% in their cardio, and following a basic eating plan, they're going to go on
you see vast results.
So much better than somebody that's not giving their training maybe 80%, giving they're missing the odd cardio session, but they've got their intra workouts. Do you know what I mean? So when it comes down to it, it really is Cass, keep it simple, stupid.
So that brings us to the end of the first show in quite a while. We will be back with a bit more regularity. We'd just like to say, good luck to everyone prepping at the moment. We know this is the start of the competitive season all over the country. I hope here's to another interesting year. We'll all be having a view to obviously initially everybody's area qualifiers, which hopefully there'll be a large TM presence at for reviews, feedback, hopefully some radio reviews. Also, the British finals, which is relevant for both federations. It's always a hot topic. Anybody has if anybody actually out there would like to maybe email any of us in the forum as to putting forward an interview. We'd be interested in hearing that. We're always interested to hear from the competitors, and their opinions on what they're doing prep wise, what their aspirations are for this year, who they see as their competition, that kind of thing. It's maybe not a bad thing, if we could get a bit of banter going between the competitors.
Rivalry's always good.
That's it, healthy and in the best possible taste. We're not looking to see enemies made out here, and death threats carried out in radio shows. We're not looking for that. But in
the most part,
and I'm used to hearing that off you, David. It's just right,
so as Brian was saying, just give us an email if you've got any suggestions or anybody would like to do an interview with us, and we'll get back to you next month. Cheerio.
Until then, folks, ta-ta.